Hello and welcome to Post to Post, the channel where we discuss all things hockey and all teams. It's the midway point of the first round, and we're going to look at the Eastern Conference first. So we just wanted to talk about some of the storylines in each of the series and kind of the things that surprised us and the things that didn't surprise us. So let's just jump right into it. We don't want this to be a video that's too long, so let's talk about Montreal and the Rangers first. So obviously I'm a Canadiens fan, so I probably have a little bit more to say on this, but for me, I'll just start off by saying it's been a battle of the goaltenders. Carey Price is being Carey Price, and Lundqvist has been Lundqvist, and they've both played really, really well. And Lundqvist has, I don't want to say struggled, because he's made some amazing saves. He's played really well. I feel like the Rangers defense has let him down a little bit. And the Rangers offense is having a really hard time penetrating the Canadiens defense. But in the same respect, the Canadiens are having a tough time competing physically with the Rangers. It's embarrassing to watch, actually. They're getting pushed around and hit around, and they're taking costly penalties, and it's just unfortunate. So faults on both teams, both sides. How do you see this series?
Well, in all honesty, I feel that Lundqvist is the only guy that's almost showed up to play. He's the real star on this team right now. I feel that Montreal just wants it more. I find that they're competing so much harder than the Rangers. If I had to put money down right now based on what I've seen through the first three games, I'd say the Rangers don't even win another game in this series. Oh, really? That's how bad they've looked to me.
Wow.
I find Montreal is beating them to lose pucks, and man, Radulov, that guy looks like a star.
He's been the story of that series. He has, I think, 5 points in 3 games or something like that, or maybe a little bit more.
He looks amazing.
He's been absolutely on fire. You can tell that guy wants to win.
And he wants a contract, too.
There's a lot of questions because he had a great start to his season. Yep. And then near the end, he really looked like he was struggling. And now he's back to that Radulov that we saw at the beginning of the year. And the timing couldn't be more perfect.
Yeah, and I mean, you can clearly see Lundqvist calling out the team in front of him.
Yeah,
because the effort is lackluster. It really is. And it was kind of an embarrassment for durations of that game in New York the other night to have an effort like that, your first playoff game in your home building, and to come out like that. Oh, man, that was terrible. Terrible all around.
So tonight, today's Tuesday. They do play tonight. What's your prediction for that game? Do you think Montreal wins?
Hands down. From what I've seen, the Rangers just look completely uninterested.
Well, I'm going to say
series.
I'm going to say that the Rangers take this one tonight. So we'll leave it at that. All right,
we'll see.
Moving on, let's talk about Boston and Ottawa. What's your thoughts on that series so far?
Well, Boston's losing right now, so I'm happy. But no, in all seriousness, both teams are really competing. And my big note on this series is no lead is safe in this series. Yeah. It's weird. This is the perfect series to talk about momentum shifts in a series or in a game. One team could be up 3-0, and you could look at that and say, well, geez, that's a fairly comfortable lead. Not in this series. It's just up and down, kind of.
Yeah, there's so much scoring.
And it really comes in bunches, too. Like Boston getting those 2 fast goals the other night. I mean, that was unpredicted by me, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it's not like Ottawa has terrible goaltending or Boston has terrible goaltending. You have Anderson versus Rask, two of the best goalies in the Eastern Conference. And they're getting lit up at times. It's shocking.
Yeah, to me, this is the one series in the East I feel that is completely up in the air still. It's not very one-sided by any means. And even though Ottawa is up in this series, Boston could very well turn the tide the next game. It's just one of those loopy series where even still, there's no real clear team is showing signs of pulling out on top.
Yeah, I see it going to 7 games.
Oh, yeah, very well could. That would be exciting.
So who do you think wins their next game?
I think Boston takes the next one.
I think Boston does too.
Yeah, if I had to put money on it.
Yeah, we tie the series at 2, I believe.
Yep.
Okay, let's move on to Toronto and Washington.
This series makes me smile.
Yeah,
it really does.
It's so exciting to watch. It's amazing.
Yeah, Toronto's the complete underdog, and I look like a complete fool, which is fine. I wrote them off 100%, and in my bracket challenge, I stated that Washington would beat them 4 straight.
Yeah,
I gave them no credit whatsoever. And my logic behind it is this team is so young. They have absolutely no experience. I mean, who the hell has experience on that blue line? I mean, come on. They're just so young and inexperienced. I thought they would just be 100% overwhelmed when the playoffs started, and Washington would just manhandle them and walk right through them.
Yeah.
Because Washington has a ton of experience on the team. Yeah, not a lot of guys that won cups, I mean, Brooks Orpik, he won a cup with Pittsburgh. But, long-standing guys on the Capitals to win cups, well, it just doesn't happen because the Capitals never won a cup before. But lots of playoff experience in general. And yet, look at the trouble they're having with Toronto. And I'm so impressed with that young core and their ability to just kind of, turn off everything going on around them and just focus on playing the game, having fun. And I think a lot of it is due to Mike Babcock.
Yeah, and they've got no pressure on them. I mean, no one really expected them to make the playoffs. And they themselves probably didn't go into the season thinking that they were going to make the playoffs. It was a growth year. It was a learning year. Yep. They're young, and they made the playoffs, and they have no pressure on them. I mean, they've already exceeded expectations, so anything after this is just a bonus. And Washington's the opposite. They have so many expectations on them, and it's so many times they have failed in the playoffs, and we're seeing it potentially again.
Remember when I said Washington will never win anything as long as Alexander Ovechkin is on that team.
You're going to get some hate for that, right?
Well, will I still get hate if they get beaten out by the Toronto Maple Leafs? It very well could happen, and I hope it happens.
Yeah, it'd be fun to see Toronto move on to the
I'd love to see Toronto move on. That would make my playoff right there, just seeing them move on. Wow, what an underdog story that is.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jake Gardiner is playing incredible hockey, the best hockey he's played in his career, and he's still a young guy as well. We've got Matthews, Nylander.
And
they're all playing so well.
Yeah, they are. And the other thing I want to know too is I find Shattenkirk looks like complete manure.
Yeah, not good.
He looks terrible. And I said in a previous video too that bringing in a guy that's used to running the blue line, being the leader on the back end, and then bringing him to Washington where you have guys like Brooks Orpik, Matt Niskanen, these are the guys that are used to running the blue line. Is there kind of a conflict here with similar personalities maybe? I'm not sure, but Shattenkirk just seems completely out of sync with the rest of the team in front of him. And the adjustment just hasn't been made, in my opinion, for him coming into Washington, and it showed, especially in the last game. I didn't like a lot of the things I saw from Shattenkirk.
It's funny, when Shattenkirk left St. Louis, they thrived.
Yeah.
When Shattenkirk joined Washington, they faltered.
Sometimes that happens. I mean, you look at other teams when they brought in players as rentals. Sometimes there's just not enough time left in the season to have a guy come in and be fully adjusted to what you want them to do with your club. And to me, it's showing with Shattenkirk.
Yeah, and sometimes you look on paper and it's a perfect match, and then it comes out as just things just don't gel. You can't predict those things, so it's unfortunate for Washington, but that's kind of the situation that we're in. And so, who do you think wins the next game?
Toronto.
Really?
All the momentum's on them, and now that Washington's down in this series, even though they're only down by one game, all the pressure in the world is on the Capitals right now.
I'm going to say that the Washington Capitals win the next game. But, I mean, if they want to win the series, they have to win the next 3 or 4 games.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think Washington can do that? I do. Do I think they're going to do it? No, I don't.
I don't. I mean, I don't see the Capitals. Even if the Capitals beat out Toronto, I don't see them going past second round.
No,
it's the same thing every year.
I don't either. Yeah.
No, they just fold when it comes to the playoffs.
All right, well, let's move on to the last series in the Eastern Conference, which is... What am I forgetting?
Oh, we already talked about Boston and Ottawa.
Pittsburgh and Columbus. Your favorite team.
There, I even kind of forgot for a second.
All right, I'll let you tackle this one first.
Yeah, I would have never predicted Pittsburgh would be up 3-0 in this series right now. In my bracket challenge, I said Pens in 6. Well, we have the possibility tonight of Pens in 4, which I would like. But at the same time, I wouldn't like, because a lot of times when you have a layoff for a long duration, it can really affect the team, timing-wise and so on. But there is kind of the old cliche of the healthiest team will win the Stanley Cup. So this would be an opportunity for them to kind of heal up any scrapes and bruises from this series, which I'm sure there are, because Columbus are a very physical club. But again, to me, I think a lot of it is karma in a way, because I don't really like the style Columbus is going to. I mean, you had the Calvert suspension with that high stick that was broken over.
Was so stupid.
Yeah. I mean, it was terrible. I mean, how hard do you cross-check somebody to break a stick like that?
Well, I mean, those sticks break so easily.
They do.
It wasn't the stick breaking. It was the for me, it wasn't the stick breaking. It was the fact that it was a hard cross check, whether the stick broke or not. And then he punched him in the face or hit him in the face and knocked him down. Like,
yeah, that's exactly
what
I was going to note, because once he kind of bent over in pain from the initial cross check, Calvert circles around right in front of him and then boof, takes him down on the ice. I mean, that was just terrible. And then you get a guy like Hartnell who's just, stirring crap. And Dubinsky, don't get me started on Dubinsky. I mean, that cross check on Gensel that sent him face first into the crossbar. I mean, he could have been injured there. I mean, to me, that's poor sportsmanship. I don't like that stuff. And Pittsburgh's depth is just shining through in this series.
Yeah, and anyone could have predicted that. I mean, Pittsburgh looks so deep. It's really scary, actually. I hate to say that because I don't want to see Pittsburgh go past this round. Because I predicted Columbus in 7, which I guess technically could still happen.
It
but
could.
It's not going to happen. I think Columbus is done. And it's really disappointing because they look so good all year long. And to go out and, I mean, they had a 15 game winning streak, 16 game winning streak, something crazy like that.
Yeah, but they really faltered at the end of the season.
Yeah, and then to go out and get to be swept in the first round.
Well, I hope they are swept. As a Pens fan, I'd love to see it just because I hate Brandon Dubinsky.
And with the downtime that Pittsburgh has, they'll have lots of time to watch and study their upcoming opponent.
Oh, yeah.
So,
of course.
Definitely some pros there for Pittsburgh. So that wraps up the 4 series in the Eastern Conference. And we're going to do the West next. We're going to film that video next. And so, yeah, any closing comments on the Eastern Conference in general?
Go Penguins.
Go Penguins. All right, let's move on to the West. I'll see you in that video. If you're not subscribed to this channel yet, hope you hit the subscribe button down below. And if you like this video, hit the like button. And until the next video, adios.